flag.
Everybody, we're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum with everybody of the EDC board present, with the exception of David Torres. Joey, was the meeting posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act?
Yes, sir, Mr. President. I hereby certify this notice was posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act on the 15th day of February at 11
Thank you,
a.m.
sir. Just make sure you guys have your mics on because we had turned them off. You got the green light over there, Mike?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We'll go straight into it. Number 3, discuss and consider authorizing the executive director to proceed with plans for a new park project.
Mr. President, we had a preliminary approved the financing plan last month's regular meeting with the 3 park projects, and then subsequently we had the workshops on all 3 projects, which is El Tule, the Resource Center, and the Capable Kids Park. We've since then trying to develop a new park plan to use and incorporate in this final financing plan. We have Mr. Posadas here, the engineer with SDI Engineering, that has a cost estimate and a graphic for you to discuss and consider as we go forward.
On the floor, Mr. Posadas.
President,
for
board
being here.
members, thank you. What you have, you may have the exhibit already in front of you, but I'll go through it with this quick PowerPoint presentation for the public's purpose, for the public. This is the site located in what's known as the Boys and Girls Club subdivision, Lot 1. It's located on the southwest corner of Rogers and southbound Expressway 281, right in this area here, just in front of the Idea Academy and also next to Boys and Girls Club. It's approximately 6-acre tract. What we did is we laid out a couple of softball fields, or actually different types of fields that could possibly fit within the area of that one lot. And we were able to fit 2 softball fields. Now, one thing, though, this property is traversed with a utility easement, a specific ETT 150-foot easement for those high wires, and that's this located here, this area that I've just highlighted for you. Based on the agreement that we have, or that the property has, it's very restrictive as far as what could be built over it. We are already in conversations with the Matt Jones, the attorney for ETT. We've had dealings with him in the past about what may or may not be allowed, and he's researching that for us today. So we actually, the original was this one here, showing the parking lot along the expressway and that playscape area right in here. This is very similar to the sports complex, the Janet Vacker Sports Complex that we just finished off of Doolittle. It includes the restroom facilities, 2 softball fields with stands. So going back, this one, they did have a comment about option 2. They didn't like the idea of having the playscape underneath the high wires because of the metal protruding above, over 10 feet or 6 feet, with the playing area, and the fact that it's made out of metal. So they were going to have an issue with that. So this option was a preferred option here. Both fit. You've got a trail along the site. 8 foot is what we've planned here. I think we've got approximately 65 parking spaces. And so what we did, and this is very preliminary, but based on numbers that we saw with
Hold on, Isaiah, go back to that picture, please.
Go.
One that,
The wires.
that's more feasible, right?
This one is the more
But
feasible
we're gonna have
option.
wires over the field?
They would be over the field, but those are, I believe, about 60 feet at the about 45 or 50 feet at the low end, or 60 feet, somewhere
Not
in
gonna
that range.
interfere with our deep fly balls?
They should not. This is softball. The reason we're doing softball, 1, because the configuration fits, and 2, it can double as t-ball as well. We wouldn't be able to fit much more than a baseball field if we were to try to get a competitive type of baseball field. So the option was to do that, to do it, to fit whatever we could. And
That's
put a,
just weird to me. I've never seen a field with a wire running across.
these are not your typical. These are actually very. I should have brought a picture of it, but they're very high. You could not hit those. That's even on the low end. You see right here. Here's one of those poles. I'm trying to remember the number because I represented some clients on condemnations on these, but these are not your normal. They're your normal poles, and you'll see them in the other parking lot unless you're actually looking up. You don't really notice those. A good example is, for instance, the ones along McCall Road. Along McCall Road and Trenton, there are these high wires going through the parking lot. You don't notice those. These are much taller than that. These are much taller than those poles that are located there, so
Okay.
they're fairly high. So we took these and we took the numbers. Again, this is very preliminary. We included, this also includes, which is not shown on here, because we just added in the estimate, but there is room here for basketball courts. So we did include that in the estimate. We've got the basketball courts, softball fields, walking, jogging trail, playscape, landscaping, the building. It's one building, which is concessions and restrooms. Irrigation for the entire site, and then that parking lot.
Is there room there for a splash pad?
We weren't able to get the configuration just yet to see where we might fit it. The idea was, let me go back to this configuration here. We moved everything we could as far east as we could so that we could have some space adjacent to this playscape area. So there is room here, but depending on the size of the splash pad, there may be a way to either cut back some of the parking, and we have all this space in here. We can also move the the softball fields further north and give us a little bit more space as well.
I
So
think
there
that
is room, not exactly this isn't the way it would look, but there is room to move some of these facilities around.
Mr. President, if I may ask a question, that's just one basketball court for 50,000?
Correct, sir. Those were the prices we received for the Vacker Park. We basically just took what we paid over there, applied it here.
But that is a court with a awning and,
This one does not have an awning. This is just a concrete
Just a
pad with the
slab.
lights. What makes it expensive is it's a foundation. It's not just a slab. There are things that we can do to mitigate the cost. We don't have to build it as stout as we've done some of these others, like the ones we do with the school district, to save on cost. There is room for savings here. But we didn't want to assume that that's what we wanted to do, at least early on. This is very preliminary. So, for instance, these softball fields, if you look at the price, go back to the end, we're looking at about 1.6 to 1.8. 1.8, but this includes the nets of Texas, for instance. It's a new way of watching softball where it's not in your way. It doesn't look as it doesn't obstruct your view as much. But those are expensive as opposed to maybe just a chain link fence. There are ways to cut costs. The Musco lights, those are competitive type lights. We could probably go to a lower grade of lights, but we wanted to go ahead and just put the price that we had. Because as was pointed out earlier, they've already set a certain expectation with that part. We wanted to start there, and if we need to cut costs, we can start from that point. That's a good starting point, I think.
Does this include any fencing around
Yes.
It does?
Yes, sir. It's I believe that would probably be under other site improvement.
Mr. President. Question. Has this property been finalized? Is this where we're going to put a park, or?
This is a property that the EDC already owns. We're still in the planning stages, and I think the big question is on the High Line and the parking. And that's why I have the second on item number 4, discuss acquiring additional property if this project goes forward. So, but where he's laid it out, it's existing EDC property. Yes, sir.
Well, my position is that this property's prime location off the expressway that could be better utilized than for 2 baseball fields, especially with the issue with the power lines and the easements and stuff. My second concern is that we're building all these baseball fields in different areas, and I'm all for building baseball fields, but I think we need to be strategic on how we plan our softball and baseball fields, because one of the things that as a coach, as someone that has run tournaments before and through independent leagues, and the issue is when you have so many different locations that you have to, especially when you hold tournaments, that you have to have different representatives at each site to conduct those tournaments. It's a lot harder for the parents as well, that during the recreation league, if they have 3 kids and they're all in different locations, it's hard for them to go to all these different sites and to watch their kids or to take their kids to the tournament or to the ball game. So what I have been envisioning, and I think I've mentioned it to y'all individually, is that maybe do a sports complex to where we have the majority of our softball and baseball fields that are in a central location that can be utilized by everyone, and parents don't have to be going to 3 or 4 different sites depending on how many kids they have. And Mr. Garza's here, and I'm pretty sure he can attest to that. But that's, at least that's my thought process, and that's what my suggestions would be, that we look into a strategic plan for our parks that are going to have the baseball and softball fields.
Coach Garza, you want to approach the podium? You want to just give us a quick update on the parks that we have, what we're lacking, different age groups, you know, because I understand what he's saying. You want to just fill us in on where we're at?
Sure. Currently, we have, we're lacking 9 and 10-year-old, 11 and 12-year-old baseball fields. We currently have 2 baseball fields for all the community designated for that age group. Currently, we're using some of the softball fields, which is not the right specs for Little League, for 9 and 10-year-olds, because they won't ever hit a home run there because it's just too big.
Where are those 2 fields, Coach?
They're at Municipal Park.
Municipal Park.
It's actually a 4-plex. I mean, it would be great to have a 4-plex, or even what Mr. Enriquez has mentioned, having a sports complex, but the thing is to get a location for that. I mean, I'll be all for that.
Yeah.
Having different types of parks, baseball fields, and that we can just take the whole family. There's softball, there's 9, 10-year, 11, 12-year-old, there's 13, 14-year-olds, there's pony side, yeah.
And you know, and the reason I say that is because I went to a tournament about a few years back in Corpus Christi, and they have the sports complex there. And the way they had it is, and Coach Garza, you can attest to this, in each Little League division, there's the distance between home plate and first base, second base. For each division, there's a different length of bases.
Yes.
And so what they did was, I think it's your Shetland, and then the next level up, it's the same size. So they would have two fields that were specifically just for those. They didn't have to move the bases. They didn't have to be playing on the grass or anything. They would, it would be situated for those age groups, and then they would have 2 others for the Mustang and Bronco, and then so on and so forth. Right. So you wouldn't have to move the bases, and the field would stay the actual playing field, you know. And then they had the softball girls, because usually you don't have grass in the infield, right? For softball.
There's no grass.
So they would be just softball fields. I mean, it was a great facility. I thought back then, I said Edinburgh needs this, because you can raise a lot of money with just the parents coming in, the concessions, and people coming into our community. I mean, it would be a great economic impact, a positive economic impact for our city if we had a sports complex. And the one that I mentioned to some of you guys, I think, is the one off of Sprague and 281, where we already have those 2 baseball fields, which it's Memorial Park.
Memorial Park, yes.
I mean, to me, that would be a great location for a sports complex. But, you know, I mean, again, that's why I would like to have more discussion on what we want in this sports complex, maybe for a long-term project, you know, a 3 or 4 year project.
I think that'd be great, and this is, to me, will be a great addition as well. I mean, I know it's only 2, but we can go over a 4-plex, be ideal, but there's no place to put 2 other ones there. But this is a great start.
Over there at Memorial, we have a lot of acres there. We have a lot of acres
Towards the west side?
on the west side, right.
Another 2 fields there?
And you just reconfigure the 2 big fields that we have there. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that, and it's easy access on and off. I mean, we have the overpass right there on Sprague. I mean, to me, it would be a good location, but again, we'd have to study the logistics of it and everything. But that's just my ideas.
And you think a 4-plex would fit at the Memorial Park, the one on Sprague?
You can probably fit more than 4. I would say you can fit about 6 to 8, because some of these, and Coach, you tell me that the Shetland and the one, what's the one right above Shetland?
Well, it's T-ball and
T-
coach pitch.
T-ball,
Coach
T-ball.
pitch.
Yeah, okay, so those are smaller fields, so they don't have to be as big as these fields that are on here. They're a lot shorter, correct?
Right, yes.
Your outfield is shorter.
Yeah, everything's
you know,
shorter.
So you can accommodate, less square footage in the property for those types of fields, you know? You start getting into the bigger fields for your pony, and
Your bigger
and
boys.
your softball, right?
Yes, you need a lot more space.
Right.
And of course, they're all specialized from home to first, you know, different feet.
Right.
And pitch mount as well. Yes, sir.
So you put the first four divisions of Little League together in a fourplex, and then the other top four divisions in another fourplex. So you can possibly fit eight fields there, plus a walking trail, plus, you know, picnic tables and all that kind of stuff.
Memorial.
At Memorial, yes.
You see the smaller ones going there, yeah.
Mr. Posadas, how long would it take to build this project?
How long would this one take? You're probably, this doesn't have as many challenges as we had in the other parks, so you're probably looking at about a 4 to 5 month, I would think. Because we do have a building there, the long lead items, you know, the playscapes are not off the shelf. They have to be selected, and then it takes about 6 to 8 weeks to build after you've already done the submittal process. So I would think 5 to 6 months is probably more appropriate. There's water, there's sewer, this is already a subdivided piece of tract of land. The roadways are already there, there's got a lot of advantages, other than the fact that it's got this easement over it.
The reason I like this is because coming in from North Edinburgh, first thing you're going to see is lights and a baseball field. It's going to catch your attention there. I do agree with you that we do need a lot more fields, Gilbert, but I would hate to tear up what we have there and start brand new all over again when we already have this. I mean, we own both properties. There's also some property to the south of Memorial Park, right before La Palma Daycare. That's a couple of acres. I don't know how it is, but that would be, if we could acquire that property, that would be beautiful. And I know you know what we're talking about, Coach, because I kind of live out there, and I pointed it out to you before. But I like this project, but, I mean,
I just think that this
One voice.
is prime location to sell to a commercial development. You know, even selling it to IDEA. IDEA will probably want to buy it because they're expanding left and right, you know, I mean, I just think that would, I mean, the square footage, the fair market value for this piece of property is high.
what would you guess it would be?
What
is it, 6
about-
acres? 6
what is it,
Approximately 6
$5,
acres.
$6 a square foot, $7 a square foot, maybe?
About 7, right?
$7 a square foot? I mean, that's some good income
What
coming
are we
in if we
looking
were
at,
to sell it.
Where to list that?
That's 6 acres, at what's the acre, 43,000, what?
43,560.
That's
43,560?
That's 1.62.
For 6 acres, at $7?
Approximately.
So the land costs just as much as
The project,
the
yeah.
project itself, so.
Mr. Trevino, have you had any, have you marketed this area?
Yes, sir. We've had signs out there, and we've been talking to, I mean, a few people that come out there and give us a call. We've talked, you know, different restaurants, and maybe there was we did that bus tour earlier, or late last year, with all the commercial developers, and we showed that property. And there was some interest in developing some type of, you know, commercial area, mixed use type of things.
Has IDEA shown any interest?
IDEA has shown interest, definitely has shown interest, and another hospital has shown interest also too. So
I know IDEA is building east of Toro Stadium right now. They're
Correct.
building a high school or something out there for their soccer programs. Figure they would have
I
wanted
think
to
that
get this to
when
be
we've
next to
talked to
their...
them, they have shown interest. IDEA has for this property.
Coach, How many fields are we short?
What was the question again, sir?
How many fields are we short? How many of these fields that our leagues are using, how many are we short total?
We're short of the 9 and 10-year-old and 11, 12, which is the fields that we're
So
focusing on today.
So we need about 10 baseball fields?
We need another, like this size, would be a great 4 to 6 for right now to start off with. But our programs are really growing. Last year, we had over 1,000 kids participating, and we foresee it being more this year, because I think the culture is changing with our new, with baseball and basketball and stuff. We've seen a spike in numbers already within this past year. So I think we need more than just these two. We could find a place to put some more.
I think we had a master plan down the street on Davis Road. And I think we had the previous city manager put out some fields for us. I think there's a plan somewhere. We go back to one of our things, and I think it was gonna run anywhere from 9 to 10 million just to do something like that. We looked at multiple fields, just, and not only this, but we looked at soccer, we looked at other places. I also took it upon myself to drive around the city and get the price of property out there, what it's running. Places are very expensive. There's people that are hoarding properties. They don't want to sell properties, and then they find out that the city or the EDC is interested, then they put a high price tag on those properties. I just think that this is something that we need to address, the shortage of baseball fields. If you look at the properties that we own, this is probably one of the bigger tracts besides the 60 acres that we own on Davis. We know some of that's already committed to a fire station and a police substation. So we can either look at maybe, I would entertain looking at another place to make up the other 4. The thing is, we're just gotta look at what we own to keep the price down. I think that the price of 1.8 million is really up there as well. I mean, I had maybe something in the ballpark figure of 850,000 to maybe 1, and then keeping the surplus and looking at building some fields somewhere else or another partnership. But what scares me is going out there and looking for another tract of land that we're gonna have to pay for.
Right.
And then we start from zero. I mean, I have a timeline that I look at every day. We have 32 months left before our term is over. And, I mean, we gotta either make a play or we just gotta keep looking, because my thing is, we need to parks, you can never have enough, their quality of life.
Right. We're
I
lacking.
mean, people say, hey, you're gonna put one too close to the other one, or this or that. My thing is, you can never have enough parks to begin with. I think that's one of the things we ran on, was more parks. Do I think we gotta do a sports complex as well? Absolutely. I think so. And the thing is, you have people that play at Economides, you have people play at Edinburgh North, you have people that play at Bella, you have people that play over at the other high school, Edinburgh High, and they're all spread around. So my thing, I'd just like to see a mixture of parks in different areas where other people can't get to.
Yes.
We can never have enough, though.
My thing is, we need to develop a strategic plan. I mean, we all ran on Parks and Rec, and I think just putting parks in places that we own property isn't always the best option. I think we have property that is being utilized now, and if we could just reconfigure it and redesign it, I think it can be a multi-purpose area. We wouldn't have to spend on any land purchasing or anything of that nature. I just think that we need to look at the overall situation of our parks and see where our baseball fields, and then let's look at that. I mean, I would like to have a big map of the city to show where all our parks are, all our baseball field parks are at, and then strategize there. I mean, I think what we're doing is we're piecemealing, and this is what's gonna cost us a lot. If we do this, you're gonna spend $1 million to $2 million for just 2 fields versus doing a $8 or $10 million facility, but you're gonna have 8 fields plus everything else that goes with it. So I think we really need to strategize and just not throw money and see what what lands where, you know, I mean, I really think that we gotta strategize.
With that being said, Mr. Enriquez,
I don't see us throwing money away. I mean, Mr. Enriquez, you sat here as a chair. How much people approached you that they were interested in this property? Because Joey's been showing it. I mean, it's been constant that we've been trying to move properties. We just haven't been able to move anything because people lowball us on everything that we want to sell. They just keep lowballing us and lowballing us and lowballing us. So it's either give it to them as an incentive or give it at a very discounted price, and we end up losing the developer. So I'm just letting you know that that property's been sitting there way before our time previously, and nobody's interested in buying it because of the fact that it has that easement, and people are losing out on that frontage property. Really nothing that can be done with it.
No, they can, just because the easement, remember, that's an aerial easement, right? Is it an underground easement too?
It's a surface easement.
So-
It's a surface
so it's
scenario,
up-
so the property,
okay.
what you put on that property is
So
restricted.
basically, they can't put a building under it.
You cannot put a structure, any permanent structure.
Right,
Even the
but you can-
playscape was an issue.
But you can put a parking lot, you can
Parking
do-
lot is probably as limited but there have
Right.
to be restrictions on the lights that you can put in, things like that.
Right.
They'd have to be off
Wherever
color.
they can be strategically placed to where they're not gonna interfere with the easement on the lighting. So I'm not saying that this property hasn't been with the EDC as an asset for a long time, but yet they have not even marketed this. We just started marketing since Mr. Trevino got here. All I'm saying is eventually somebody's gonna come and wanna pay to purchase this property. And for us to put just 2 fields on it, I think, in this, again, this is my estimation, I'm one board member, 1 vote, that would be a disservice to our city and taxpayer.
Posadas, can we get this project done for about 800, 850? Is it doable at
I
that
think the
price?
way we could do it is if we partnered with the city on their equipment, materials, staff, and do some of the paving. There are projects that they've done in the past with projects like this. I think that's probably your most effective way to do it. Get on board with them. This is a price if you were to bid it out with a contractor. And they have their own pricing, they put their own markup. But if we were to partner with them, even on material, even on, for instance, the Parks Department, they buy their own equipment as well. You know, we do a lot of buy board, I think you can save. But this, again, this is a price based on bidding it out.
Even if you, Mr. Chair, even if you, in my estimation, in my experience, even if you were to do it in-house, you're still not gonna get it to the 850 to $1 million. I mean, it's gonna be tough. The prices right now, asphalt
Even-
material just went up. Lost my train of thought. Lighting, the lighting has just gone up. Electrical for the wire, all the wire, the copper has gone up. I mean, everything is just increasing price. Ever since the start of the new year, every month there's been a price increase on materials. And it's going to continue. I hate to say it, but it's going to continue.
And that's my point. If we're gonna struggle with this small project, we need to eventually see where we're at, because a big sports complex, where we're gonna get $10 million from, that's the thing that concerns me, is how we're gonna fund that without going out for another bond.
Well, if you try to sell the properties that we do have that aren't earning any kind of revenue or bringing in any kind of revenue, I think that's a way.
It's just like the mayor
We're
said.
trying in theory, but
they're trying to,
We're trying.
since
Well, no,
they
it's
know
not,
we
but
own it, they're
eventually
trying to
it will.
lowball us like the mayor says.
We won't be here when it sells.
When they lowball you, what, half of what the market is, or what's lowball? What does that mean?
Well, from,
Is it
based on
half?
the appraisal, they go down to the taxable appraisal amount, so even less than that, that's what they're looking at.
Mike, you got any comments? Mr. Torres, anybody over there before we call for a vote?
I like this idea because we're lacking 9 fields at this age division. I also like Councilman's idea of working in Memorial Park and becoming a plan where we can put a lot smaller fields in there for the younger kids, because we're lacking fields all over the place from what I understand. So I like them both, but based on the fact that we've been trying to do something with this property and nothing's happened, I'd like to do something with it. Just show the community that at least they can enjoy something, rather than it just be sitting there, because we do pay taxes on this, Joey. Do we pay taxes on this property? You know, so we might as well get something out of it. But there's some good points back and forth, but I don't want to do nothing.
I just say that we study it.
Mr.
Instead
Farias?
of making a decision just based off of this, and
But
we
we've-
study the overall
But
thing.
we should have been studying for the last year and a half, and we've done nothing. Now, we can study the memorial one, but for something that's already ready to possibly move forward, do nothing, and a study's gonna take another 3, 4, 5, 6 months.
Yeah, we need a
We
move.
do need to study.
I
but
agree, we need a move.
We need a lot of parks.
Mr. Garza, go
Currently-
ahead.
Currently,
We need a
we're,
lot of parks.
we're
Can you pick up the
meeting,
mic, Mr. Garza?
currently, we're meeting with a company, Bagley, and we're going over our master plan, our parks master plan. So we'll meet on Wednesday at 2 o'clock at our facility at Wellness Center. So that's our beginning stages, and I'm excited to hear all this
So
conversation
this
about
will only
parks.
add, because you have a
Yes.
lot more needs than just these 2 parks.
Exactly.
That's what I think, right?
Yes.
But these are softball.
No, well,
Yeah.
Well, they're drawn up, but
they're
could
they're
throw
drawn up
grass
as
in there and
softball, but we're looking for 9, 10-year-olds
Okay, so
baseball.
what are these fields gonna be? Or what are you proposing these fields to be? For what group and what
9,
age?
10, 11, 12.
Of boys?
Boys.
But that age group for boys is the same size as softball, correct?
It's the same size, the same
Yeah,
field
so-
size.
So it's also usable for the young ladies.
Exactly. The only difference is the boys have grass in the infield, and the softball does not. But plus, we have a lot more boys participation in 9, 10, 11, 12-year-olds than we do girls, 9, 10-year-old, 11-year-old, 12-year-olds softball. That's just the way it is. And currently, we only have 2 fields designated just for boys. And those are the teams that advance to the Little League playoffs and tournaments as well. I'm excited to hear you guys, you gentlemen, talk about this, and with that, being adamant about parks and stuff, being a lifelong advocate for good health and exercise. I'm just excited about this. We're lacking a lot of parks. Currently, we're behind acreage for our city size, 80,000. We're lacking about 300 acres for parks. So this is just to me, it's a great beginning. If we can look at areas or other areas around the city to purchase. I know it takes a lot of money, but this is a great start for me to bring it to Edinburgh. Plus, you can move these 2 fields up, put basketball courts there, splash pads, walking trails, more playscapes as well, make it into a nice park. Like Mrs. Salinas was saying, you're driving up on the expressway, see the lights on, like you do going to Round Rock and the San Marcos area. You're driving by, they're playing baseball. It's a great attraction to that area as well. It'll be a real nice addition to Edinburgh, if that, I know it's a prime location, and that's not
I think
my...
it's a great idea.
Yes.
And I think that we just gotta hold we gotta hold whoever's gonna do this accountable. They have to be coming up with we gotta decide on a number. I'm thinking no more than $1 million. I'm thinking, Gilbert, with your expertise, you can hold their feet to the fire, and we can cut where we need to cut and add where we need to add. But I honestly believe, working together, we can make this happen. I know that we were doing fields at $250,000 each. So both these fields are gonna be half. That's $500,000. The $100,000 for the playscape, which is similar to the one that they have at the Vacker Park. And then how much were the restrooms, Coach?
The restrooms at Vacker Park,
No, the restrooms, you just had a price for restrooms.
the different sizes. The splash pad bathrooms are 140,000, but regular bathrooms the small bathrooms are gonna be anything between 60 and 75,000, 60,000.
We can look at that, and then doing in-house on the parking, I mean, we can save money. We just gotta do like we're doing with the other projects. We're making sure that we're conservative in our spending, and that we can cut anywhere we can cut where there's not a whole bunch of fluff.
I'll say it, it's unfortunate. We're looking for properties that we actually own. And it's unfortunate that the majority of our Edinburgh School Board is not willing to work with us, because the taxpayers own a lot of property that they pay into the city, they pay into the school. I come from that system. But apparently nothing's happening over there that's gonna be able to work with this side. So we need to continue to do stuff for our citizens on the city side, and it is what it is. So this is why this comes up.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Mr. Posadas. Item number 3, discuss and consider authorizing the executive director to proceed with plans for a new park project. Can I get a motion?
To approve.
Second.
I got a motion to approve and a second. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 4-1. Item number 4, legal. I think we're going to take this to the back for executive. How do I proceed? We want to talk about number 4 in executive. Can I get a motion to go into executive?
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second to enter executive. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes. We're going to executive session. It's 12:37.
At this time, the EDC Board will convene into executive session in accordance with Texas Open Meetings Act to discuss deliberations regarding real property and deliberations
we'll see.
regarding economic development negotiations.
Okay, DTP.
Okay.
We need, Can I entertain a motion to reconvene out of executive session?
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. We are out of executive session. It's 1:30 PM. We took no action on any of the items discussed in executive. Can I entertain a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Motion is adjourned at 1:30 PM. Thank you.